Welcome to Celestial Zodiac, where we explore astrology not just as prediction, but as a path of transformation. In this video, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood parts of eclipse astrology: timing. Why don't eclipses happen instantly? Why do some people feel them right away while others don't notice anything until weeks or even months later? And what's the difference between a natal eclipse and a transiting eclipse? More importantly, how do you actually track when eclipse energy is going to show up in your life? Let's break it all down. A natal eclipse is an eclipse that was happening at the time you were born, and it becomes part of your life path blueprint. It represents core themes you're here to work through, karmic patterns, and long-term cycles of growth and transformation that repeat throughout your life. These are not one-time events. They're themes that come back again and again in different forms. People with strong natal eclipses often live lives that feel intense, fated, or constantly shifting, as if they're being redirected over and over again. There's often a feeling that life doesn't follow a straight path, but instead moves through cycles of endings, beginnings, and major turning points. And over time, you begin to realize that these changes are not random. They are part of your personal evolution. A transiting eclipse, on the other hand, is what's happening in the sky right now. These are the eclipses you hear about in forecasts, horoscopes, and astrology updates. They don't define your entire life, but they do activate change in very specific areas depending on your chart. Transiting eclipses act like catalysts. They bring situations to the surface, close chapters, or open new ones. But here's the key distinction. Transiting eclipses trigger evolution, while natal eclipses define the themes of that evolution. When a transiting eclipse connects with a planet or point in your natal chart, it activates something that was already there. That's why some eclipses feel extremely powerful for you while others barely register at all. One of the biggest misconceptions about eclipses is that they should act instantly, like flipping a switch. People expect something dramatic to happen on the exact day of the eclipse, but that's not usually how it works. Eclipses operate more like a slow-release catalyst. Each eclipse has about a 6-month unfolding window, meaning the energy begins around the eclipse date, but it continues to develop over time. You might experience an event right away, but you won't fully understand its significance until later. In other cases, nothing obvious happens at first, and then weeks or even months later, something shifts that clearly ties back to that eclipse. It's almost like the eclipse plants a seed, and the results grow gradually until they become visible. This is where trigger points become incredibly important. The eclipse sets the stage, but it doesn't always activate everything on its own. Instead, other planetary movements come in later and trigger that energy. For example, when a planet crosses the same degree as the eclipse, it can reactivate the themes of that eclipse. Fast-moving planets like the Moon, Mercury, or Venus can bring quick developments or realizations, while slower or more intense planets like Mars or Saturn can create pressure, action, or significant turning points. This is why something can feel quiet or uncertain at first, and then suddenly everything changes. It's not random, and it's not out of nowhere. It's part of a larger timing sequence that began with the eclipse. For example, you might have an eclipse that brings a relationship issue to the surface, but nothing actually happens right away. Then a few weeks later, when another planet activates that same point, the situation suddenly shifts or ends. That's how eclipse timing works. It unfolds in stages. Another reason eclipses don't act instantly is because they're not just about events. They're about course correction. They shift your direction, sometimes subtly and sometimes dramatically, but rarely all at once. When your direction changes, it doesn't always feel like a big moment in real time. Can feel like confusion, like something is off, or like you're being pulled away from something without fully understanding why. You might feel uncertain, restless, or even resistant. But later, when you look back, you can clearly see that the eclipse marked the beginning of a turning point in your life. This is why patience is so important when it comes to eclipse energy. We naturally want immediate answers. We want clarity, confirmation, and a clear understanding of what's happening. But eclipses don't reveal everything at once. They unfold in layers, and each phase reveals a little more of the story. If you try to force clarity too early, you can misinterpret what's happening, react emotionally instead of strategically, or make decisions that don't align with the bigger picture that's still forming. Eclipse energy is not meant to be rushed. It's meant to be observed, processed, and understood over time. It's also important to understand that not every eclipse will affect you in the same way. The eclipses that tend to have the biggest impact are the ones that connect directly to your natal chart, especially your sun, moon, rising sign, or personal planets. If an eclipse doesn't strongly connect to your chart, you may not feel much at all, and that's completely normal. But when it does connect, it can bring powerful shifts that reshape a specific area of your life. So when you're working with eclipse energy, the key is to think in terms of cycles rather than moments. Ask yourself what themes are beginning, what is being released, and what is gradually unfolding. Pay attention to what comes up not just on the eclipse date but in the weeks and months that follow. Notice when things start to accelerate. That's often a trigger point activating the energy. To bring it all together, natal eclipses represent the deeper themes of your life path, while transiting eclipses activate those themes in real time. Eclipses unfold over about 6 months, and their energy is often activated later through trigger points rather than all at once. They don't operate on instant timing because their purpose is not just to create events, but to realign your direction over time. Eclipses don't rush. They realign, and they reveal their meaning gradually. If you've ever felt like something significant happened around an eclipse, but you couldn't fully understand it at the time, now you know why. The clarity comes later. This is just one part of understanding how eclipses shape your life path through astrology. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.